Welcome to Sewing Out Loud, the official podcast of Zede Sewing Studio. Here are your hosts, Zede and Mallory.
Sewing Out Loud. Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm Mallory Donahue.
And I'm Zede Donahue.
And right now, Mom and I are up in the studio trying to solve a mystery. So, we are both holding in our hands a product called Thread Heaven, right?
Yeah. And we each have one.
And Thread Heaven.
And we have and they're old ones.
Well, I've got a new one here.
Give me
I'll have to get the old one out. Okay.
Okay.
Thread Heaven is a thread conditioner, and okay,
this
it's like an
people know what beeswax is, I assume.
Right.
When you do hand sewing and you put your thread through beeswax. Well, Thread Heaven came up as an invention, I don't know, 15 years ago maybe or something.
Yeah.
And the one thing that's nice about it is you could run your thread through it and then just take your finger and run take off the excess if there was any. I don't know if a lot of people don't know this about beeswax, but you aren't supposed to just run your thread through the beeswax. You're then supposed to press it right under a iron. You put it in a
like under with a pressing cloth.
Yeah, right. Fold it in a pressing cloth and then run it through the heat. You're not supposed to use that raw beeswax on your.
Okay,
so
this stuff's really cool and it keeps your hand sewing threads from tangling. Okay,
right. I think it's dimethicone is what I think it is.
Well, it's super awesome and it lasts forever. And it's like
right.
We didn't have any in the store, so I went to order it. It only costs like $3.
Oh no! And so how? And
this
must be like what
forever. Okay,
right.
Okay, but we
should date things.
I
have my initials on here.
Yeah,
I should put the date on something when I get it.
Yeah, we should do that because that would be interesting. Because I remember this as
I date garments when I make them.
Yeah,
I don't know why. Yeah, okay.
I remember this product. I would open it and I was little and I kind of like press on it
right.
and I would think it was cool and like, oh, okay, like, and I didn't really use it like when I was really young, But then. I remembered it having glitter in it.
Right.
And look, this one does.
Right.
Okay.
And so does the other one.
But the new ones don't have glitter in them.
So what we think is
maybe
ours just
we don't know. We don't know if it actually originally had glitter in it.
Everyone we've ever had has had glitter in it.
Okay.
But it might have been our personal glitter.
You know what? You know who would have done something like this? Put glitter in the thread
conditioner?
Lindsay. Yes, exactly. I think Lindsay took glitter and put it in the thread conditioner. What do you think?
What we know is if you get glitter in your thread conditioner, it does not seem to destroy the integrity of it. It still works.
It's still great. And I must admit that when I opened the new stuff, I was a little disappointed that it didn't have glitter in it.
Because it's we have like this kind of holographic glitter in it. I don't know.
Do you think Lindsay put it in there?
I think it's funny that we both are accusing
I'm like,
her.
Lindsay would take little tweezers and like put little bits of glitter in there painstakingly, like while we weren't in the studio or something.
She used to like program my sewing machines with messages on them.
No, she would do that. Okay, well, that's maybe we should reach out to the makers of Thread Heaven.
Well, not only that, but to all of you out there, do you have glitter in your Thread Heaven?
Yeah.
And if you don't have Thread Heaven, it is a wonderful product.
Yeah,
glitter or not.
It like I said, barely costs anything, and it's awesome.
Lasts for apparently at least a decade.
Oh yeah, lasts forever. It doesn't go bad. I actually have some beeswax of yours down in my house right now.
I was going to say I've got some beeswax that's a couple
dry.
100 years old.
But beeswax. I mean, beeswax also does last a long time. But yeah, right. You should be pressing your beeswax. But anyway, that's our question. We'll see what happens.
But see, look at the little stars on the packaging. It would lead you to believe that maybe there was glitter in it.
Well, I wonder if some people were like, hey, get this out of my thread conditioner.
Oh, some people don't like glitter all over their house like we do.
It's BS.
I don't know why not.
Okay, moving on.
Lindsay was the one that said, when I grow up, I'm going to have sequin carpet too, Mom. Because we sometimes had sequins all over the carpet.
Before we get into today's topic, let's take a message break.
Okay.
So, Mom, have you ordered your So Here box yet?
Oh, well, how do I order it? I don't know how.
Well, you can come to the store, okay?
Oh,
You can
well, that would be easy for me.
You can come to your own sewing store and you can order
Like,
this.
do I have to like pack my own box and send it to myself?
Yeah, I think I'm going to make you pack a lot of boxes, actually.
Oh, I see.
And we'll be doing that
So
very
now
soon.
I'm a fulfillment center personality.
Yes, exactly. You can either come into the store, come to Zede Sewing Studio, or you can go to sewhere.com/box and order your box, but only through December 7th.
Oh, well, that's right away.
That's right.
Gotta
if
hurry
you're-
up.
If you're interested to know what the heck is in the So Here box, go back and listen to our bonus
I
mini
think this
episode.
would be a great holiday present for anybody.
That's why we
Like,
did it.
this would be like a great Hanukkah thing, and you could split it up and like put, the 8 days across the 8
that's
days.
for sure. Okay, well, go back and listen to that mini episode to see to hear about everything that's in it, and you can go to sewhere.com/box to see the box, see what's in it, and purchase one for yourself or someone else. Sewing out loud. Today's topic, which is darts, seams, and curves. What is that?
That's what I had in my notes that we
Take it
could
away.
do that.
Take it away, Mom. Start talking.
I think why this came up is people on actually the group that you have started, the self-sewn wardrobe.
Mhm.
I don't know the name of it. How you like that?
That's because it's my
the self-sewn wardrobe.
it's really called the self-sewn wardrobe with Mallory Donahue.
Oh, I thought it was by Mallory Donahue. But anyway.
Oh, maybe it is by. I don't know.
Anyway.
My Facebook group.
I they were asking, they started asking fitting questions.
Yeah.
And I thought, do people really understand that seams are like princess seams are instead of a dart?
Yeah.
That a curve or a curved seam is instead of a dart or in place of a dart, or that a dart is in place of a seam. Or why something's curved around the leg and not just straight around the leg or something like that.
Something that can kind of help people visualize why flat patterns look
Flat?
or like why flat patterns look the way they look. Like imagine you are standing with your arms out to your side and someone puts like a cylinder around you, right?
Okay, right.
And so the widest part of your body, the fullest part, which would probably be like your
Bust or
bust or your hips, right?
Or your shoulders, whatever,
It would like touch those parts, right? And then you would have to like nip in this magical
and
cylinder.
act like the cylinder is like pliable,
Yeah.
or like net.
Yeah, okay.
Like
so you'd have to like nip it in, and you'd like gather, near the back and on your side.
So you don't just take a curve like maybe at the waistline, which people do think about. I think,
yeah,
because I think in our mind we have that hourglass type shape.
Yeah, and
we're
kind of working with that in our brains.
I mean,
yeah.
everybody sort of. I mean, I guess what I'm thinking is when you see a dress form or something, it's always nipped in at the waist.
Sure.
It's a common place for it to be,
yeah.
Nipped in. So that's what we at least have in our heads is that, oh, well, yeah, we go in at the waist, but we don't just go in at the waist on the sides.
Mm-hmm.
We may go in at the waist in the back, too.
Yeah.
Some of us may go in the back and not in the front. Some
Yeah.
may go in the front and not we have more of a straight back. And we don't, my hips are smaller than my bust.
Right.
So, some people are the other way around. So the cylinder would probably fit my bust and not fit me anyplace else.
Sure. The cylinder would go up around your bust.
And there's a lot of people where it's I have a friend and we used to be like the flip-flop of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was, I think like an 8 on top and like a 4 on the bottom, and she was a 4 on the top and an 8 on the bottom, and I almost knew like if something was going to fit her.
Yeah.
Like, but we were exactly the opposite of each other, and certainly like standing there, you didn't. It wasn't like something visually you saw right away. Even
Right.
we kind of looked the same because we were close to the same size.
Right.
But it's just so if you want something to be fitted, or if you want it to hang a certain way, it can't just be a straight cut or a straight seam. There's going to have to be a curve someplace. If you
Right.
want it to fit around your butt cheeks, for lack of a better word, it might not be straight across the bottom. It might be curved. Same way with an armhole. It's not just a slit.
Right. It's curved.
It's curved, right.
Mhm. So when people are asking about fitting issues, I feel like sometimes people don't always see where they can take things in if there isn't already a seam there.
Right.
Like Noah's making that vest in the group.
Right. And I didn't want to freak him out. Okay? But if he wants a perfect fit on his back, which not all vests are perfect on their back.
Sure.
And there's I can give you a whole vest talk about how vests fit and don't fit or whatever. If you want something to fit perfectly on your back, more than likely you need maybe a center seam
Yeah.
or, two princess type seams. And yes, men do have princess type
Yeah,
seams.
men, I think that was a question.
I guess we'll call them prince seams. I don't
Yeah.
know if we have to worry about, pronouns or what, but, it's two fitting seams
Yeah.
instead of darts.
Mhm.
Or also he could have had a dart. Now, he was having trouble, it looked like to me, though, in the upper area.
Right.
Okay, that it was too loose. And it also looked like maybe his neck was too high. I don't know if you noticed that.
Mhm.
But then again, this is a picture, and I wasn't there to.
Yeah.
But I've had people say, "Oh, well, I don't want a seam in the back, but I want it to fit. I don't want it to stick out from my neck." We're not straight, you guys.
Yeah, you might need a
We
seam.
might have a little hump there. Some people have a little hump on their neck. Some people have a curve to their back. Your back is not really straight.
So a bust dart, and bust darts, I think, are a big mystery to a lot of people.
Especially
Okay.
location.
That's exactly what I was going to talk about. What a bust dart does is picture a flat T-shirt like you own,
Right.
okay? And it lays flat when you lay it on a table, right? But if you were to cut a wedge out of it, near the
Right.
bust, and then put that wedge together, it would then stand up. You'd
That's
make
right.
a little.
You make a
little
cone.
cone for
Right.
for
a point.
for
Right.
a breast to fit in. And then of course location of that is important. And I think people don't always understand, like you said, that dart can be turned into a princess seam.
Absolutely.
The bust dart along with the waist dart.
And those videos will be coming.
Yep.
I will show you how to do that. It's really an easy, fun thing to do.
Now, I will say that you're like, you got to do this to fit, and that we just launched the Easy Tea class that
has no darts.
Yeah, it's what I call a pancake pattern.
Well, and we have explained to people it is a semi-fitted pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Semi-fitted, which means it really fits pretty well, sort of at the bust line.
Right.
And sort of hangs, and then it may widen at the hips, but it's not going to go and nip at the waist big time.
And
there'll be a slight curve there.
That's why I recommended to make it out of a certain type of fabric.
Right.
And people seem to, just lots of things have happened at the shop lately where people seem to not want to read the pattern instructions or listen to fabric recommendations.
Right.
Okay, they're there for a reason. I'll get off that
Right.
soapbox. Anyway, moving on.
Right.
We'll talk about that in another podcast.
I think this is another reason when people talk about altering patterns. How do I alter the pattern? Oh, my bust is this or whatever. Or I'm bigger in the bust, small. Is there a bust adjustment? There's a lot. Bust adjustment, what do they call that? What's
FBA.
The
full
FBA.
bust
Okay,
adjustment.
the full bust adjustment. There's a I don't know what's out there that much. I haven't looked at it a lot much, but just because you have a big bust doesn't mean you have an out of proportion bust either. There is a difference.
Right.
Doesn't mean you won't need what they call a full bust adjustment. But like I said, darts, they should not be below the point. It's all about where the point ends.
They aren't.
It can be above the breast. It can be on the side of the breast. It can be under the breast, to the side and under the breast. But that peak the peak should be at your peak.
Right.
Now, the dart doesn't come all the way to your peak. It's about an inch back.
So this, I think, brings up a point. I think maybe I can sort of like kind of bring this full circle.
Okay.
So we talk about how it should fit,
Right.
what it should look like. The fitting the bust isn't just about the size of the bust.
Right.
It's about the location
It's
of your curves, of your breast, of your
Yes.
apex. And I have
and the difference between the diameter of your body and that full bust measurement.
Right. So I have a friend who, like, where her nipple is located when she's wearing a bra is like, it's super low.
Uh-huh.
She has like a long sternum.
Right.
You
It
know?
doesn't mean she has a long boob, although
No,
she might
she
feel like
doesn't.
that.
She doesn't, you know, she is
But
like,
she might.
she's like
right.
a young woman with perky breasts. I'm not
Right.
talking about somebody who's like,
And even though I have long breasts, I bring them
You
up.
pull 'em up.
Right.
Okay.
I can put them wherever I want, and I try to keep them in what I consider the appropriate place.
right. So she's got this long sternum.
Right.
Okay. So her adjustment for the pattern, it might not really have anything to do with like changing the actual size of
That's
the
right.
bust or anything like that, but she actually needs a longer distance
Right.
between like her shoulder and where the nipple, where the apex is
Right.
in the pattern.
And in like ready to wear,
Yeah.
what happens to me is that shoulder will be too long because I'm trying to accommodate my bust size,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll wind up with too much fabric in the shoulder. This happens on a lot of clothing. It's a big alteration that people don't know about. Somebody will walk in with me with a ready-to-wear dress, and they go, look, it needs to be taken in on the sides. And I will go over, and I will pinch the shoulders up and bring it up probably an inch, 2 inches, and it fits perfect. And they go, oh.
Yeah, it's a length
Right,
issue.
right. And I know because that curve or wherever that dress is allowed for the peak
Mm-hmm.
to be sitting, it's not in the right place.
I posted a photo on Instagram, and then I didn't follow up. This is a long time ago, about moving a bust dart up on a pattern. And I guess when I say that, let me clarify, I really mean shortening. I really meant pinching up the shoulder seam, just like you mentioned.
Okay. Well, sometimes you pinch up the shoulder seam. Sometimes you move the dart up.
Sure,
You have
sure.
to know your problem.
So, like,
or
what
let's not call it a problem. You got to know your body or your shape. That's, right.
So when I made this shirt, I was kind of like making a little sample of it,
Right.
but I tried it on, of course, before I got the collar on,
Right.
and
Right.
then I pinched up the shoulder seam.
Yep.
I think it was an inch, so
Uh-huh.
really, a total of 2 inches,
Right.
right? And then I recut the neckline to be exactly the same as it was before.
Right.
So everything was all good. I had really just shortened that. It made the arm side fit me nicely too.
Right.
So everything was okay there. But I posted a picture of like the before and after, and people were like, "Oh yeah, I have this problem on the shirts that I buy. Tell me how to fix it." And I was like, "Oh no." Because how to fix that on a collared shirt?
Is you take
On
the
her-
collar off.
Oh no, and no,
Right.
I don't. No.
Well, I guess you're talking about the Easy Tea and how it's this
Sure.
pancake.
Uh-huh.
Well, it is a pancake, but it is a dimension. A pancake that's
pancake.
fitted to your dimensions.
Yeah.
Right. There will be shoulder to bust measurements. You will know where your arm's eye is supposed to hit. This is a very basic pattern drafting. Okay.
Yeah, and
This is a starter pattern on drafting. Then we're going to get to, the set-in sleeve and the dart. And we have a full bust adjustment that we use on knits.
right. I think the biggest revelation for people, hopefully, when they take the Easy Tea class,
Right.
is the width of their necklines,
Right.
and the height of where the fullness
Right.
of the bust
Well,
is. I
and
think
your
you're
waist
totally right.
too, because you
Yeah.
take a measurement
You're
of your
right.
waist. And
Right.
now, some people have a waist that goes in, and some people have an equator,
Mhm.
which I say just goes around them.
Right.
And it's where you bend to the side like I'm a little teapot. That's where your natural waist is.
Right.
But not all people go in at the waist.
Right.
A lot of us are very straight. Or I don't go out at the hips.
Yeah, I don't go. I don't go in at the waist very much either.
No, you don't.
And
Yeah. Mallory's a cylinder.
yeah, I'm like a cylinder. Even it's just like how my body's
Right, right.
distributed. And your measurements almost are, the numbers you put down are arbitrary. You're just going to draw what works for you. And that's the thing about these darts.
Right.
If you can, when Mom talks about darts and curved seams and everything, you need to know where they need to line up when you go to make alterations.
Right.
So when bust darts and the waist darts,
Yes.
they all sort of point to the
Right.
apex.
They do.
No matter where they're located, you can
Right.
move the darts around.
That's right. And if you've ever seen a dart in a dress where it goes up to the breast and way down towards the hip, that's like an all-inclusive dart.
Combined.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, have you ever seen? I mean, I know you have.
and those things fit differently. I
Yeah.
mean, when somebody says, "Well, I want this to be fitted," okay, do you want every curve fitted? Do you want the, I look bad if something just hangs from my chest
Mm-hmm.
because I look huge on the bottom. I look like sort of like a Humpty Dumpty because I'm bigger at the top and I have really big shoulders too. So, if I want to play up that my waist is not as big as my boobs, sometimes I have to make an alteration that takes some of the fabric out. Now, you told people to get a rayon challis type fabric because it drapes.
Yeah.
So if I have that fabric, I don't have to take it in as much, or I can have a more loose fitting fabric, or
And some of these
Yeah.
design details in darts, they work
Right.
better in other fabrics,
Right.
in some fabrics than others.
they
you
do.
know?
They do.
The placement of other darts on the pattern, I just think there can be darts in the back that are up at the shoulder area. There can be bust darts that actually go from the neckline,
That's right.
outward toward the apex, toward where your nipples
And
are.
all of these darts, I don't want to scare anybody, but they can all be transferred to someplace else. So if I have a side dart in my dress and it fits perfectly, and I've got that's my sloper that I made and everything, I can take that and with the waist dart and the bust dart, and I can transfer that into a princess seam and have no darts. I just have that princess seam.
I think people don't always understand why things fit and look the way they do.
Right.
If you picture, your waist darts being two darts that go directly, they line up directly
Right.
below the apex. And then if you move that bust dart to basically be at the center of your shoulder
Mhm.
and go down,
Right.
you can create this color blocked look
Right.
where your dress is
Where your princess
three
seam would be or
is-
whatever.
Yeah, but your
Right.
princess seam looks, or your seam looks more vertical, right? Like
Right.
they cuts you in half,
Yep.
okay?
Yeah.
And I think people think that they can just cut a t-shirt into three color blocked pieces and all of a sudden that makes the look, but the look always isn't. It's not
Doesn't always work that way.
seam isn't just straight all the
Right,
time, guys.
right.
It's curved.
Right.
Then you sew it together and then it fits over the body and it looks straight
it looks
once
straight.
it's put together, but it's
Well,
not.
and a princess seam can go up to the shoulder or it can come into the arm's eye.
Mhm.
Both ways. I don't want to confuse anybody here. I don't want you to think too hard. I don't want you to think we're giving you answers in this podcast. I want to make you think.
Yep.
I want you to think about that it's a shape. And then it relates to fabric. Noah's vest was in a muslin type fabric, not forgiving at all.
Right.
Now, like I said, I didn't want to confuse him. I need to spend a week with him. He's very prolific in what he does.
And very, prolific
And
is the right word.
Right, and he's not afraid.
Right.
He just
yeah,
goes
for
for it. But, another thing you can do, there's several things you can do with a garment, especially like a vest. You can have a knit back and a woven front.
Right. Or even a woven knit, or excuse me, forget. Okay.
That was a good one.
Yeah, nice. Like a woven wool
Right.
fabric will lay so much more
Things
nicely.
lay a different
know?
way. And, people kept talking about the arm's eye.
Yeah.
And there was nothing wrong with the size of the arm's eye. If you're in a vest, the arm's eye has to be big. You don't want it to come up high. You've got another shirt under it.
Right.
It will come lower than it does, say, on a sleeveless shirt.
Right.
And that's another thing. Sleeveless shirt or a sleeveless top versus a top with a set-in seam. That is a different
Set in
size.
sleeve.
What did I say?
Seam.
Oh, sorry. Set-in sleeve. That's a different size hole.
Yep. Yep.
So, all these things come into play. And I mean, you'll get there if you take your time and you study, and you'll be able to. But I guess what I'm trying to say is this is nothing that just comes overnight either. Like anything else.
Yeah, I feel like we've maybe created more questions
Right.
than answers in this episode. I just imagine someone's iTunes review, but I think the big takeaway from this is that this is what I think the big takeaway
Right.
is. You make your muslin and you start pinching
Right.
and pinning.
Right.
In,
Okay, and here's another thing. If you're new at this,
Mhm.
if you're a beginner, pinch one place. Take it in.
One at a time.
Put it back on. Pinch again. Stay naked so you don't have to keep taking all your clothes off.
Yep.
But that was another thing that we were talking about with Noah. People were going, do this, and I'm like, do one thing at a time.
Right.
One thing at a time. Now, if I was there, how many garments do you think I fitted on people?
Yeah. Oh.
5 million, I
Yeah,
don't know.
mhm.
I could probably and go, this is what you need,
Right.
and it'd be over with. He either needs a back seam, he does need something maybe done with the back of that pattern. I don't know. He may just need some length taken out of it.
Right.
See, I'm
Possibly.
not there. I can't tell. But, and we've been known to do a fitting. I've done fitting on a Skype before, which I just hate because I'm telling somebody else what to do. I've also done things like sent somebody a muslin, and had them draw where their boobs were.
There
It's
goes
awful.
our charging $40 an hour for Skype fittings, Mom. No.
No, it's $75 an hour for a Skype fitting.
Well, I think that people need to be aware that darts and seams, and especially I think the dart, maybe it's more it's more evident that that's going to take up the fabric
Right.
and make it a different shape. But if someone's doing something with princess seams, they need to understand.
And another
know.
thing, though, I think one of the reasons we don't know about this or we don't realize what's going on is I think a lot of us are wearing ill-fitting clothes. Because, you do get ready to wear and you're just trying to I have never, ever in my life bought a ready-to-wear button-up shirt that fits.
Yeah, and
It's too tight in the bust. They aren't out there. They don't exist for my body.
I just think of maybe 10 to 20 people who I can think of in the store who've taken certain classes from us, and they're like, oh, the sleeve, is it quite right? Is it da-da-da-da? And they get really hung up on where these things are in the garment they're making.
Right.
And they walk in the store every single day with a sleeve that is set in and it's on their bicep.
Right.
And I'm
right.
like, okay. And I don't say anything, but I'm
Right.
just like, we need to, I'm not saying don't strive for perfection.
Right.
But I am saying, you just be aware that your ready to wear isn't at that
Right.
place of perfection.
Right.
So when you go to make it yourself, maybe the first time it's not absolutely perfect.
Don't be so hard on yourself either.
Don't
right.
be so
right.
hard on yourself.
Right.
And I don't want to tell people,
You
oh,
want
it's
to know
going to be
something?
just
The
as
first
bad.
dress I ever made,
Yeah.
it was too long from the apex to the shoulder
Uh-huh.
because I didn't, here I am 13 years old trying to teach myself to sew. And I bought the pattern that fit my bust, which was huge every place else on me. Well, of course, it was huge when it came to the length, between my apex and my shoulder.
Right.
And I didn't, but I remember wearing it and going, what's wrong with this? What's wrong with this? Because the neck sort of swam around my neck,
floated.
and I kept thinking, what's wrong? And it took me to 2 or 3 dresses later. And I thought, there's too much fabric up here,
Mm-hmm.
And I did start with some ridiculous size pattern, which, now I would start with a smaller pattern and I would, accommodate for my chest.
Right.
But I did, in those days I was told, buy for the biggest measurement. That's what we were
And
told.
I think some people are still told that.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Well, hope we've stirred around your
I'm sure we've totally screwed you up.
curiosities a little bit with this one, but just start thinking about how your flat patterns go into 3D, right?
Right. Or even ready to wear. When you put it on, why is that dart there?
Right.
Or is it not. Maybe it shouldn't be there.
Okay, well, thank you so much for listening. We're on Instagram as @ZD Sewing Studio, and you can get a hold of us by emailing Mallory@sewhere.com.
So long and so happy.
Thanks for listening to Sewing Out Loud. For even more expert sewing advice, visit sewhere.com.